TE Talks with Guides is a weekly podcast for lovers of history, travel, and all things Italian. Welcome back, everybody, to TE Talks, sponsored by Through Eternity Tours. I'm your host, Rob Allen, and on TE Talks, we get to talk with some of the most fascinating people who make a living out of being wonderful storytellers. We get to delve into what is their passion, what drives them, and what they want to share with people who come and visit Italy. Now, today I am extremely happy, and I've even done some preparatory conversations with two lovely ladies, two of my favorite ladies who live in Rome. We have Benedetta, Benny, and Valeria, who are sisters, and they're actually known as the Foodie Sisters. Correct, ladies?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. Wonderful. So you're going to be talking about my favorite subjects, okay? Food. And I'm on a diet, so I'm going to be so excited to be able to indulge in talking about food since I can't eat too much food at the moment. So it's going to be even more special for me. So everybody, just to give you an idea that we're going to be discussing this, since we're going to be doing a tea destinations, talking about the Castelli Romani and Castel Gandolfo and Aricia, which are also famous for food, well, everywhere in Italy is. Benny is a specialist with, she is a sommelier. She is also an olive oil specialist and a cheese specialist. And Valeria is a pastry and desserts in general specialist, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
Now, can I ask you, first of all, since we've addressed yourselves as Foodie Sisters, this is how you are known, and you have a wonderful following on your own YouTube channel, which has kind of inspired us at Through Eternity to start our own channel. You initially got working on this, and then you created your own company, which is called Local Aromas, and we work with you. You know, some of our food tours and some of our food walking tours and also cooking lessons we have used with you guys to collaborate together. But being known as the Foodie Sisters came about because you were involved on a pretty famous TV show. Would you both like to tell me about that experience?
Yeah, well, several years ago, first of all, thank you, Rob, for having us. This is really exciting.
Thank you.
Chatting about food, as we always love to talk about. But as you said, we do have our company, and so called Local Aromas. And so several years ago, when you start thinking about something and you think about something and then just things just fall into place. And so I was like, Benny, I think we should be doing videos. Benny, I think we should be doing videos.
Mm-hmm.
Benny, I think we should be doing videos. And then all of a sudden we got this call and they're like, oh, it's a national TV production in Italy. And we're like, we would like to have you as guests for this TV program where you had contestants going over at each other's home. You had to prepare dinner, like an experience. And then you had these three different judges coming. And so you hosted them. And that's how it happened. We thought it was just, it was going to be a one-day sort of thing. And we ended up being 4 days of film.
4 days.
Oh my God. Okay,
yeah, for a 45-minute episode.
4 days.
It was a very incredible experience where we got to meet a lot of the people and the people in the production. And it was just incredible to see how many people just from one episode would like stop you on the streets and call you. And it was quite an incredible experience. And
it was fun because we still get called today. I saw the episode.
I saw
you on TV.
That's amazing. I have that experience too, but it's not for such a fun reason because I actually got hired to do infomercials in Italy, like La Frita Rosa and stuff like that. So I have friends randomly calling me. They're like, I'm in Hong Kong and you were just trying to sell something that, gets rid of cellulite on thighs, with like, Anyway, but if I recall now, the TV show, just to explain to people who don't know about it, because it's quite fascinating, and I don't think America really does something like this, but it's really lovely. There's a kind of competition between people, like the two of you as sisters and maybe a couple or other people. And so you have these three judges come in, and they judge you on many different things. They judge you on your interior of the house, how it's
Yes.
designed. They judge you on how the table is set and what is your bon ton, your as Emily Post would say, your proper etiquette on entertaining, which is kind of a lost art form in both Italy and the United States. I think people don't entertain as much as they used, and that's probably why they wanted to emphasize it. And then, of course, they emphasize the food, the taste of food, and the choice of the food, correct?
Exactly, yes.
Which is really fascinating. And of course, the judges have these lovely anecdotes or little sidebars where they talk to the camera. But if I'm not mistaken, you ladies won your episode, correct?
Big time.
Yes.
We won big time, yes. No, it was fun because we got to be really creative. We got to pick our topic, and so we decided to was like food around the world, because the fact that we lived in many countries and it was a 4-course meal. We did the appetizer from one country, the first course from another, the dessert from another, and that was very appreciated. And then we took our mom's best hand embroidered linens from when just and it turned out to be very, very, it turned out to be very, very nice. It was a fun evening.
Well, I also wanted to add to people to let them know, and you can kind of elaborate for me, is that you both come from a very one of these lovely, as part of an expat community, because I have lived in Rome for 23 years. You meet people like you. Now, Benny and I have worked together. Benny used to work at Through Eternity as in the administrative office, but I've learned about her experience in the families of these. There's a culture or these certain families like yours where you both have an opportunity because your parents, your father, I believe, worked at Alitalia. So you grew up in different parts of the world. And because of that, you both speak English perfectly. And you also speak Spanish perfectly because you lived in Chile for a while. I mean, why don't you, and so you have this international experience, and you have brought that in back to Rome. And I think it's helped you with your business. It's also helped you with your ideals, because I think you get the best of many different worlds. So maybe you can tell me a little bit and tell our followers a little bit about what that is like, and how does it help you in your business and your choices of what you've done.
Well, we absolutely have a very international background. I left Italy when I was 3 months old. Benny was 3 years old. And since there, for 18 years, we lived in different countries. So, I mean, the first one, it was Bangkok, so it was very, very different in the 70s. And you you grow up in a very natural way, because to you, that is how things are. We would come to Italy every summer, twice a year. We would come for Christmas. Our mom is Italian, so she really kept that Italian tradition. And so we just lived a very international life. We would go to an international school. Our friends were from all over the world. And that was just normal to us. Like on a daily basis, we were, it was just, everything was very normal. And we realized that it was actually an asset when we came back to Italy, because everybody was like looking at, they would ask you all these questions, and what we thought was just normal. And all the things that we picked up, the languages, the different cultures, just going from one country to another as if nothing, you would leave a country, leave your friends, okay, start from scratch. And we realized that we did have an asset, that speaking fluently 3 languages, because we lived in Chile and we lived in Venezuela. So we lived 10 years in South America.
Wow. Also Venezuela. I never realized.
Yes.
Yes. 6 beautiful years for us. My mom hated it, but yeah.
Wow.
But yeah. And so it was wonderful. I mean, looking back now, it was an incredible experience. I mean, it wasn't, easy, because I remember when I left Caracas, I was in 10th grade, in 11th grade. So I was just about to graduate, and then we had to change country. After 6 years, you start from scratch. And it was, I mean, it was hard, but these things, shape you and make you, it doesn't kill you, make you stronger. And so it was wonderful. And now looking back, we literally have friends from all over the world. We've all kept really, really close connections with everybody. And that's really, really wonderful. And
go ahead. Sorry.
No. And talking about how we said that was our daily life. When we came back to Italy, we had all these foods that we could not find anywhere else in the world. And so our poor grandmother, she knew that on the arrival date from the airport, she had to have a rosetta, prosciutto, and mozzarella. That was a must on every single arrival. That's all we ate, because you don't find that stuff in Caracas.
You didn't find that stuff.
You didn't find that stuff.
Things are getting they're easier to find in like things like places like Italy, that's getting all over the world. So, and sometimes they're getting better. Even in the United States, they're getting better at transporting these foods or finding some good qualities. I remember I've been living in London, so we can find some stuff that's good, some other stuff not so great. But of course, it brings always back to Italy. But let's get back to the food of Italy and what you guys have decided to specialize in. Now, Valeria, I'd like to talk to you first about this because I'm having a sweet tooth moment after you brought up some of these things before. So, tell me your experience of what you do. How is it that you came to pastries? And let's talk about some of these wonderful Roman desserts that you just brought up right before we started recording.
Well, I have always been into pastry because I remember even when I was in Chile in high school, I would go over to a friend's house and we would always bake something. And so I came to Rome. It was just very simple homemade sort of things. And so, after in my 30s, when I had kids and everything, I just wanted to change. I just wanted to change my professional life. I was a full-time mom. There was something in me that just had me, I wanted to do something. I didn't know exactly what, but I decided to go to professional pastry school. And so, that just felt like the natural process because I just wanted to understand. I love the science behind cooking. So I started, before that I would read books into why things happen when you mix them. I just have a whole bunch of fun with that. And so unlike my sister. And
just to clarify, guys, because this is going to be a podcast first, and then we're going to have a Zoom recorded session that we'll eventually put on our YouTube channel. Benny was giving a shooting her head when Valeria was saying. That's why we're laughing a little bit. They're completely different, the sisters, on how they approach things. So yes, please go in. You adored the science of it.
And from there, it was this 3-month full-time course. And we went through everything from, cream desserts. In Italy, we call it
crema pasticcera.
That you use your spoon, everything, the traditional local desserts, international cakes, gelato. We did everything. We did a savory pastry, and it was fascinating. And so from there, I learned how to do these very, very complex desserts. You need a lot of technique, a lot of practice.
Sure.
And when I decided to, when my sister and I just decided to, to launch our company, to have a company where we could talk about food, where we could share the Italian traditions. And I got into really studying and learning about all the traditions in pastry. I sort of fell in love with the traditional homemade sort of desserts and pastries. I went from homemade to super, I know all the science and all the things. I learned all the complex things, but then the traditional desserts, I just think that they're so much more fascinating, and they have a story to tell. Each of the desserts and the pastries that are part of our regional, territory and culture, they just talk. They say so much more than the perfect, shiny, perfectly layered cake to me now.
It's a very beautiful way to place that, connecting it to the stories. I know what you mean. A lot of times kind of on TV, they talk about things like Cake Boss or whatever, that it's almost like the visual of a perfectly looking cake. And for me, it's also very interested. I'm interested in the taste, and I always think those things can't taste that great with all that I even forget what the icing is called that they place.
Fondant, yeah,
Yeah, fondant. Yeah, the fondant, and that they kind of place and mold on, which of course it has its value, and it certainly is spectacular to look at. But food is to be eaten, and of course, with with just taste and perfume and scent, these things are very much connected to memories. And as you're saying, stories. And I think it's a lovely thing to see for the both of you, because your mother is connected to this. And I also enjoy baking. I enjoy cooking. I do. And I really love to bake. And for me, since I've been living abroad for so long, it's been a very important thing to remember my family and what my mother, who is a good baker. And so I would recreate that. And it's that wonderful story to be able, because this is something that's handed down in generations. No, it's like a memory, a souvenir, a way to continue the life of your parents, and pass it to your children or your nieces and nephews and whatnot. So thanks for pointing that out, because it's very, very appropriate. I think it's lovely. And tell us about, so, because I was like, all right, well, we got to talk about some Roman stuff. And then you just brought up something that I was like, I had no idea. And now you're telling me that it's by where you live and where my office is, because we're in the same neighborhood, Piazza Bologna. So fried ciambella.
yes, there is this place close to where we are at,
Mm-hmm.
which the son of the owner who passed away, he has this institution, this small sliced pizza shop.
Mm-hmm.
And in the morning, late morning, they prepare a ciambella fritta, which is a fried donut. But don't think of it as like, the perfectly cookie cut donut sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He uses the recipe that his father used. So he would get the dough of the pizza, because you have to consider that all these, like, in the ancient times, they would fry and add sugar to things that they already knew how to make, like pizza dough, bread dough. And so they would turn it into something very festive. And so he does it the same way. He gets the pizza dough and he just opens it with his hands, just like roughly opens it. So you get it all sort of crooked, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not beautiful looking. It's not like, a boutique kind of pastry, but that's why it's fascinating. And he fries it and he dips it in this white sugar. And it's, when you eat it, you get your nose and your mouth and your chin full of sugar. It's just delicious.
Oh, good. It is just, thank God it's so far away from my house, and I don't like desserts. It's just, wow. We did one of our videos there. And so it was the first time I tried it, and oh gosh.
Mamma mia.
No,
It's so good. It's so good. I always there was a place in Pinedo. I don't remember the name specifically, but I do go there still, because of course it's one of those famous pastry shops, because the kids go to the discos at night, and then in America you go to a diner and have pancakes, which is wonderful. I miss it a lot, or have whatever you want at a diner. But the kids go to it after the disco, which they can leave at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. They go to these pastry shops to get a cornetto or a ciambella dipped in sugar. And this was one of those famous places in Pineto that had these lovely fried donuts. Wow. And then, of course, what do we say that's very specifically Roman? The maritozzo con panna.
Maritozzo con la panna, which is a sweet bun.
Mm-hmm.
And they're cut in half, and then they are stuffed like with whipped cream. Delicious. And though it is very, very local, Roman local, it's not something that you find everywhere. Just the very traditional pastries of the traditional cafes do them, and you need to find the ones that do them properly.
Ah, yes, that's a very valid point.
Yeah.
You want to show them
Oh,
properly
yes.
done. Have you guys ever gone to the Regoli at Piazza Vittorio?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Is that does that get your stamp of approval with their marito?
I haven't tried it. There are some places that are good. Others are okay, but I mean, it just my
She's
stamp
very
of
picky.
approval.
She
Yeah,
is
Benny
very,
knows.
very. You don't want to go have coffee with her, and you don't want to go have pastry with her. No, it's
And
very,
gelato.
And gelato, yes.
Well, you have to try out. There's a gelateria. Oh, well, see, now we need to know Valeria's lists of approval to see what she's good. I'll be like, okay, let's see. Is the coffee good here? Um, uh, there's a
No,
lot
you
of
don't.
gelaterias all over Rome, and now the kind of trend is like this Venki, very rustic kind of look, which I like. It's kind of going back to this old idea of an ice cream parlor, which is also in the States. I forget the name of this place. I can't remember the names of this place. Well, good for you guys because you're the ones who know the names. But in Piazza Tuscolo, from our old office, Benny, there was a place that they've made, a new place. It's really, really good. They have like a chocolate melted, like Venki, but this is
Rivareno?
Hmm?
It's not Rivareno.
No, it's not. It's like Antica Gelateria, qualche cosa del genere, something like that. Antica Gelateria. And it has like, if you want to put chocolate into the cone before you put the ice cream. But they had cheesecake ice cream flavor, which I thought was really good. Close to American, maybe that's why I like it. But I also love gelato. No, it's really good. Well, I'll tell you guys about it. Then you're gonna have time to go there because, of course, I'm sure you wouldn't want to miss out an opportunity to try some gelato.
Of course not.
Never.
You'll let me know what.
But consider that in like all of Rome, well, all of the area, the neighborhoods of Rome that I go to, obviously, I mean, I haven't been to many. And there are like approximately 5 places, 5 that I can go, that I like to go to. I enjoy going to.
Oh, so name one of them for me. Like, what's one of
Well, one just opened right in front of your office,
Okay.
Gelateria dei Gracchi.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Another
The
one that is in
Bayonne
our
is
neighborhood is called Pico. It's totally out of, but it's incredible. And he is from Argentina. So it's not about, yes, he makes exceptional gelato. Another one is Gelateria del Teatro, close.
Ecco, that one I know. Yes, that's famous.
Yeah.
And also Gunther.
And Gunther,
Gunther, I don't
right
know.
across Ponte Sisto.
Hmm.
And in Trastevere is Otaleg, which is gelato backwards.
Okay. There's one I love in Pineto. It's Gelateria del Pineto. I don't know if you've ever gone there. I know Pineto's a little further out, but it has kind of some odd flavors, but he does them really well. Cinnamon and ginger, lavender and rose, and anise. But they're delicious. I mean, I'm not one to be such a fan of lavender or rose, but I do love the cinnamon. And he has vanilla, not crema, but proprio, right, exactly, vanilla.
Vanilla with the little seeds inside.
Of course.
Because you know that vanilla has seeds inside, Rob, right?
Yes, I do, Betty. I do. When I make my desserts with the crema pasticcera, I put vanilla with the seeds inside. My partner's favorite dessert, he could just eat it for days, is the crema pasticcera. So I do make it for him. I'm not a huge fan of it myself. I have a little bit
Tell
of
a
it.
story.
Go embarrass me. Go.
Well, just fresh out of pastry school, it was Benny's daughter's birthday. And so she said, can you do something? And I prepared crema pasticcera. So I went out, I bought the vanilla beans, I cut them and I scraped them and then I put them in and I brought it all the way to her house. And then my sister calls in the afternoon and she's like, did the cream fall? I was like, what are you saying? So basically she thought that the cream had fell and that was soil in it. I mean, it was just like, Benny?
I had never seen a vanilla. I mean, I have no idea. She gave me this thing, it was all full of little black dots. I'm like, what is this?
Cos'è sta roba? So you really thought your sister would have dropped something at food on the ground and served it to you?
You see what I have to deal with?
That's pretty hysterical.
So that's what I learned about vanilla beans.
Of course. Let me tell you, vanilla beans are expensive. So she loves her niece very much because she's getting vanilla beans and scraping them. That's not easy to do. I've tried. It's not easy to do, but that's really.
I know that too because she loves to embarrass me. So in one of our videos, she handed me a vanilla thing and she said, soften it. Now, what would you have done? I bashed it on the table. And she laughed.
Started wiggling it in the air.
Actually, how does one soften it? Because I'm not doing that, but like I kind of cut it open and have and scrape it out, but I don't know how
You
to.
just roll it with your hands
the
on the
flat
stick.
part of the knife. You just sort of flatten it on all the sides so that it just softens.
Oh, there we go.
You
Very
see?
delicate. See, va bene.
Please.
All right, now let's go. Of course, we spent time on dessert, so we have to go a bit to the savory. So cheese, olive oil, and wine, which is like each subject is a world unto itself.
Oh,
So
yes.
Benny, if we're talking about Rome, I would think pecorino cheese would be a major thing to discuss. Or what would you choose to talk about?
Well, pecorino is, it's actually the main ingredient of, the four Roman pastas.
Yes.
So it's pretty important.
Mm.
It's pretty important. It's actually a very, very, very ancient cheese that dates back to the Roman Empire, where they used to give 27 grams, I think it was, of cheese to the to the soldiers, and it's the pecorino romano that has the black peel around it. It's it's part of the carbonara, amatriciana, cacio e pepe, and grisha. Sì.
Yeah, so it's a classic thing. Would you guys believe that my partner Andrea doesn't like it, and so he asked to have it. I know you're gonna cringe because this is what people do. Substitute it with Parmigiano. He says, "I don't want the pecorino," so he has the Parmigiano instead. A lot of people do that.
Or he can order something else.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true too.
That's true. That's very, very, very
No, but
true.
yeah, I've been enjoying the pecorino much more. His mother is actually quite a great cook, and so rarely do we get pasta, but when we do, because he doesn't like to have pasta that much.
But that's why it's also smorzato with it. I mean, we don't eat pecorino just like that. It's not a cheese that some people do.
Well, not that you bite it off. No.
No, it's not usually a cheese that you would have, served on a platter of just cheese just to enjoy like that. It's usually, you have the sweetness of the pasta. If you have it with the guanciale, however you have the sweetness. So it's mixed together with other flavors, but it's
Okay, so what if you have to present? You're going to have an aperitivo at your house, and you're going to present some charcuterie places, some sliced prosciutto, etc., that kind of stuff. What would you serve? What would cheeses, if you want to kind of promote the area of Lazio, or whatever, because we're talking all things Italian. That's what the
See, I
podcast
mean,
is.
cheese, even though cheese can be regional, though there are certain cheeses that belong to certain particular regions. Non è che c'è, the cheese of Lazio. I mean, cheese, it's just what you want is sort of like wine. So you want like a crescendo in flavors. I just love cheese in general, and so from burrata to mozzarella to stracciatella to the various casciottine. I'm not very fond of like the truffle cheese, or it's cheese or it's truffle. It's
Yeah, because it's a strong flavor. I'm not a fan of truffle flavored things in general.
That is
I find
something
that it overwhelms whatever it's served with, and it's kind of an excuse for restaurants to charge a lot of money with something.
No, you want truffle, you eat truffle.
Yeah, or like truffle oils. I don't like them at all. Yeah, that's.
And blue cheeses. Blue cheeses is a world that is just fascinating. Blue cheeses are incredible, because the flavors and the pairings of wine that you can do with the cheeses, and one of the best pairings ever, Valeria, which is also wonderful for dessert that you would never guess, is blue cheese paired with a sweet wine.
Wow, I've never tried that.
Rob, do you realize how many things you're going to be trying after tonight?
Of course.
Il maritozzo.
Mamma mia.
All the gelaterias I mentioned.
All the gelaterias she mentioned.
I have this recorded, so I have all of this wonderful source. The people don't realize, sometimes these things, when I'm on this podcast and or when we're talking with guides, these are gold mines for people. I don't know, but I mean, it's absolutely true. But of course, I'm getting hungry. So first of all, so we brought up just one thing. Obviously, ladies, we could have conversations, we could have different episodes about this, just on very specific things. So you bring up blue cheese and you bring up a pairing of wine with it, but what if you're going to serve the cheese, do you serve it just by itself, or are you going to serve it with something, some kind of bread, some kind of like a pear? Like what would you serve with it, or honey? Like how in your ideal world, if you're going to present blue cheese to someone because it's a strong
Nothing.
flavor for people,
See,
nothing.
it is. No, okay. If you
Nothing
really
goes-
want, you can add, you can politely put a little piece of bread. I know. Personally, I just love cheese like that. Like I love prosciutto just like that. I like salami. I like it pure. The blue cheese is okay. So serving blue cheese would be at the end of the appetizers. However, because it's strong. Because once you have blue
Sure.
cheese with sweet wine, if you taste the mozzarella, it's going to taste like absolutely nothing.
Sure.
So you try. But if you want to go with blue cheese, then just with the sweet wine. Also, what's very, very good. This is more a wintry appetizer. You take bruschetta. So you take bread, non-salted, like the quello di Terni, the non-salted bread. You put it in the oven. Then when it comes out, you spread the blue cheese on it, and then you can add or like pears cut thin, 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 because however you have the sweetness that counterbalances the flavor of the cheese, or even grapes cut thin, 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 thin.
Oh my God, great. Never thought about that. So yeah, because the cheese itself, it's important to have the bread that's unsalted because the cheese has salt in it, right? And it just kind of adds that kind of texture, the crunchiness. Oh my God. That's
so good.
great.
But cheese, I mean, cheese just like that. I mean, sometimes I used to, like when I was, studying it, I like to have people for dinner and I just serve cheese. But first of all, just serving cheese can be extremely expensive because, cheese done properly is very expensive, cheese.
Sure.
And then it's not like in France where you could have an entire meal just out of cheese. In Italy, there's still not, I mean, we still have to grow a little bit in this, but it's just so
bad. Like also to clarify, you say blue cheese, but there is a difference between blue cheese and gorgonzola because the gorgonzola.
I mean, in Italian they're called erborinati because it's which could be translated to blue cheese. Gorgonzola comes from the town of Gorgonzola, and apparently that's how the blue cheese was created, obviously by mistake, because all good things were done by mistake, Of course. And so the legend says that this young guy working in a cheese store, in a cheese place, a cheese factory, he was in love with the daughter of the owner, and so he messed up. And so the morning when he went back, he realized that he had not put all the milk in the shape, and so he mixed the milk from the day before with the milk from the day after, and the two, between the two cheeses, this mold created. And so when the owner found out, he got really, really upset, and he just threw this big piece of cheese to this kid and told him, "Leave, you're fired." And then he was, starving, he was hungry, and so he decided to give it a try, and he loved it. And so he went around saying, and that's how gorgonzola is very creamy. Then you have an entire, you have so many different types of, they can be really, really strong. Some are like really burning. So it's, the world of cheese is so intense because the cheese is always evolving. It always changes day by day. The cheese changes. It's
not whatever cheese, Benny. The ones that you were talking are
raw
milk cheese.
Yeah, raw milk cheeses. Cheeses made with
pasteurized milk cheese is just.
See,
I went to her tastings.
Okay.
And I even paid attention. Yes.
And she paid attention. See,
because it's raw milk cheese, right?
See, it's raw milk cheese because pasteurized. Everything that we could stay here until tomorrow, but everything that the cow eats, you have the cows that that fanno la transumanza, and they walk and they eat the flowers. And I mean, some big cheese experts can tell you if the cheese is from summer or winter according to the flowers that they can sense in the milk because of what the cows ate. Because one thing is that they eat spring or they eat hay in winter. The flavor of the cheese changes. And it's a fascinating world, beautiful.
And that's just one of the fascinating worlds, because again, you were involved with olive oil and wine, of course. And okay, so because you brought it up, what would you recommend as a sweet wine? Because like, I mean, for people, I'm sure a lot of people don't know about sweet wines. If you're going to pair it with some blue cheese or gorgonzola,
So I'm going to stay definitely in Italy.
Mhm.
Passito di Pantelleria.
Okay.
Passito di Pantelleria is sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And it pairs perfectly well. You have this apricot sweet flavor that pairs very well with something a little bit stronger than gorgonzola, because it would override a cheese like gorgonzola. It needs to be a little bit stronger. But
Okay.
yes.
And is it like it would be served in a small glass, or I mean, isn't it, or sweet wines are usually served in small?
If you're in a restaurant, if you're at my house, it's going to be served in a big one.
In a big chalice.
No, usually they come in small, because making sweet wine is extremely expensive, because the grapes are dry, and so it takes more time. So usually, a little bit. But let's see.
Well, ladies, I mean, this has been fascinating. I did want to bring up just a couple of more things before we wrap this up. Your mother has become quite the star on your YouTube channel. She has everyone loving to see her present on some of these videos I see. How has that been for you guys, having to work with, well, your whole family, your father's involved and your children are involved, but your mother has been a breakout star on the channel.
Mom has been, our mom has always been, okay, what do I have to do? I mean, she's always been like, let's just do it. Mm-hmm. And so when we told her, Mom, you're going to become a star of a TV show, she's like, what? Okay, what do I have to do? And she's really, it's like her natural habitat. It's like she's always been in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. And her tips, because we're like, all the tips that you want to bring to the grave, and she's like, oh, but I told you. Now we have her put them on TV. Mm-hmm. And if you go on our YouTube channel, her videos have thousands of visualizations, mm-hmm. compared to the ones that my sister and I are in. People love her. Mm-hmm. Even, yeah.
She sits there and she just talks with her strong Italian accent, but she says everything perfectly well in English.
Sure.
And I know she's really cute, and so she is a tough cookie. So when we had to organize, we were like, okay, we have it all set through, and then it was just that, like, the video maker and her, they had to figure it out, because she had to be natural, and she likes to be in control, and she is just great at explaining everything. And so it was her moment, because she likes it. It's very gratifying for her. Now she's a grandmother. I mean, she's always been a full-time mom, mm-hmm. and now she doesn't have us around or the kids around that much. So she really needed something, we had to put all her value into the service of others. And it really gratifies her, because she keeps on getting them. We keep on getting comments. Just like now, I just saw there's a new comment on YouTube and saying, thank you, what a useful tip. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's tips. She does tips.
Mama Giuliana's cooking tips. That's her series in our Local Aromas YouTube channel.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely, guys. I mean, like I said, it seems that you have a family that has a great special history working together, and that this has been so wonderful when you've created the company, starting with the Foodie Sisters, and then creating the experiences that you have with Local Aromas. I mean, I've always felt that it was a special level above the rest. Now, the projects that you're working on, you guys are rolling out with the videos, and you're going to be doing, even tomorrow, you're going to be filming some more videos, which is great, because you haven't been able to do that for a while. Very exciting. And I've seen that you've done a lot of stuff online, which is wonderful. My question to you is, so when's a book coming out? When are you guys going to have some book sharing your experiences? Because I can imagine you could do it in English and Spanish and Italian.
The book is one of our to-do things. It's there in our drawer. Between the two of us, I'm the one with like the crazy ideas. Mm-hmm. And the what?
Help!
Yeah, so she like when I have like these things like the morning calls, it's just like I have an idea, but
Oh,
it's
she had her pop-ups, like pop-ups in cartoons.
Yeah.
So Valeria had her pop-up.
and so a book is definitely one of those. And we have created, and we're keep on growing, our new online Italian cooking school.
Yes.
That is something that we've always wanted to do, but had we never prioritized it because everybody has time if you manage it correctly. So we had never thought it was something necessary to do with all our in-person experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got that done. We have to
Mm-hmm.
pick up our YouTube channel again.
Mm-hmm.
And a book is something we will.
Well,
But
I think honestly, I think it's like you guys are the perfect ingredients for the book. I mean, the reason why the Foodie Sisters became popular on YouTube and is continuously growing is of who you are, your personalities that you bring to the food, and as storytellers, which you've completely proven here on this podcast, is how you bring the stories to the food. Just listening to the both of you talk about them, and that your styles of personalities are so different, but you definitely have both of a history together. It's something that I think people could really be interested in. So finding, I guess, a publisher, but I mean, they're ready to do something because everyone does love Italian foods, and maybe bringing that quality is expanding to it. I mean, it's just listening to. I was thinking, of course, what about all of your food experiences in Bangkok and in South America? I mean, this is something that is definitely, I think, worth.
oh gosh, our mom has so many stories.
Mm-hmm,
So many stories.
mm-hmm.
And had so many things that she makes fun of because, I mean, when my sister, we moved to Caracas, but to Bangkok when she was 3. So imagine coming here, after growing in such an environment, and she's like, okay, whereas, I mean, she was fed on rice. I mean, that's all she ate was rice. And she would, ask where the rice and where are the crocodiles? And people would think she was crazy. Where are the crocodiles? And so mom has all these stories, and yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea because we've always thought about a book about ourselves and the things that we do, but there's so many stories that our mom and dad tell us
Sure.
that has really shaped, who we are. Like when our dad would take us to the park and he would just have us, to read his newspaper. He would put us on elephants, and so there we were, it's true when we would tell people. When we were kids, they were like, "Oh, your daughter has such an imagination," and it's.
Well, I mean, it's like it's become very much a thing where you have Americans who are living in Italy, or there's like there are these 2 guys in England. They're called, I think they're called the Pizza Guys or something like that. They're British guys who came to Naples to learn how to make Neapolitan pizza, and they've made it. It's in London. There are various shops. People are lining up. They kind of started with some street food to do the pizza out there. So you're kind of taking this on a different aspect because you are Italians who went abroad, and then you're coming back and using all of that. And it's a different point of view. And I think it's very unique and special. So.
And we grew up with a mother that, if she didn't have ricotta and she wanted to make ravioli, she would make her ricotta at home.
Wow.
So, we've seen everything was from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, like I said,
and we ate Italian at home. I mean, we ate also international, but Italian was one of the main meals. We always had Italian.
Of course, that's going to be important to have your culture brought up with you guys, right? And it seems that it worked out quite well. But anyways, just to wrap up, I wanted to thank you both, Valeria and Benny, the Foodie Sisters, and thank you so much for your time. I think this could be the first of many other interviews or podcasts that we can do because it was really lovely speaking with the both of you. Now, if people want to reach out to you, where can they reach you? Why don't you let them know?
They can reach us on social media at Local Aroma. Local Aromas everywhere. Social media, Facebook, and YouTube.
Sure. Instagram, Facebook, and of course, so Local Aromas is the YouTube channel, correct?
Yes.
YouTube,
yes.
Instagram, and Facebook.
Perfect.
Yes.
Lovely.
We try to keep it simple.
Great. Well, that's always the important thing. And everyone who is listening, just to let you know that if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask us, ask to Valeria or to Benny or to me, you can write us at office@througheternity.com. And we'd love to we will hopefully get these questions and read out to people in future episodes. All right, ladies, thank you both so much. So I will be finishing this up and we'll talk to you soon. And I'm going to be going to get some fried ciambella and some ice cream. Of course, as I said, I'm on a diet. So you're going to help me break my diet. And then the
Yes,
cheese.
but I want proof.
Okay, I'll take photographs. I'll put put it up. It's fine to cheat on a diet every so often. Anyway, thank you both so much. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to our TE Talks with Guides. We have a new episode every Wednesday. Please subscribe to get an alert when each podcast comes out. Rate us and tell people how you enjoyed it and share it on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Most importantly, if you enjoyed it, send us a feedback about the show. Also, if you are curious about what some of these people and places we talked about look like, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch the video on this podcast where we have inserted special images for you to further enjoy the story.